Welcome, everyone, to the webinar today. We have Martin Doyle on the line. He is founder and CEO of DIKW and working to improve quality of CRM data for the last 25 years. DQ Global has been a valued partner of Dynamic Communities for over 6 years now, and he'll be talking about how to fix CRM data once and forever. And with that, I'll change presenter rights over to you, Martin.
Thank you, Lisa. Let me
Yes.
just make sure we show the right screen. Show my screen.
Perfect.
Perfect. Well, hello everybody, and thank you for joining our session today on obviously how to fix CRM data once and forever. The idea is to get your data clean and keep it clean. So that's going to be our discussion points for today. There are a number of slides, so I will rattle through them, but hopefully they will all make sense. So let's begin. So Lisa's given a bit of background on DQ Global. We're actually 25 years old this month. We've specialized in helping people who are frustrated with low quality data, need data that they can trust, and want better informed business decisions. So how can we take a look at the journey today? So we've set aside a kind of journey. We're going to take you on a path from where you are now. How did you get there? Where are you going? Why do you want to get there? What are the obstacles? What are you going to do about it? How will you know when you've arrived? And how do you stay there? So the idea of clearly getting your data clean and keeping it clean. So the first thing to do is identify where you are now. I hope that quote there resonates with everybody, because ultimately we want to trust our data and we want to be able to be sure that it delivers what we need to deliver. Now, how do you begin your journey? Well, I'm looking at a London tube map here. It could be any map, it really doesn't matter. And what we're saying here is that if you don't know the start or the end, so you don't know where to start, you don't know where you are, you don't know where you're going, it's totally impossible to plan the journey. So we're just using this as a metaphor, but remember, the map is not the territory. There are all sorts of undulations that we're going to go over, alligator swamps, mountains to go over. This is not just a flat map when we're going in the data migration, data management journey. So the first thing we need to do is assess and audit. Now, CRM systems, ERP systems, customer insights, the common data model, they are containers. So over the last 25 years, we've been involved in working with data quality and improving it. And it's all been around the data container. People are putting stuff in there. It's like filling your car with fuel, but it needs to be the correct fuel, right? Because you don't expect your car to drive well if it's a petrol and you put diesel in it, or vice versa. There are data rules, obviously, that are applied on those systems. Now, they could be business rules that are in the application. They could be company or organizational rules. But we're going to focus today upon the data content, the thing that's fueling your business apps, fueling your CRM system, and preventing you from getting the success that you would like from it. Now, when you do an audit, you typically have data characteristics. Now, these are often called data quality dimensions. I personally don't like that term, so I've used the term characteristics, because dimensions need units, and completeness doesn't have 20 kilograms of completeness or 5 newtons of completeness. So we talk about completeness, obviously. How complete is your data from a column basis, from a row basis? How unique is your data? How unique are the values in the columns or attributes? How unique are your accounts? How unique are your contacts in your system? And we have technologies to help with that, of course. Timeliness is an issue for people. Can you deliver that data on time for the people who need to use it? Validity, are your emails valid? Are your phone numbers valid? Are the addresses valid? Is the data accurate? Now, accuracy is a very subjective subject. It's about fitness for use quality, not perfection. And accuracy is a component of other characteristics. So accuracy, in my opinion, is not measured in isolation. And consistency is, of course, important. We want USA instead of United States, maybe. We want UK, GB, England, Scotland, Ireland, Wales need to come under the same classification of GB. So we might want to bring things down to an ISO standard. So without delving into deep details on the data, let's take a view as if we were a pilot looking at data, because data is at the foundation of everything we do. So imagine you're this pilot sitting in the cockpit, looking down at your instruments, and the weather's not particularly good, and you see 10,000. Well, are you 10,000 feet, 10,000 meters? Are you 10,000 feet above sea level? You're just 10,000. That's data. Data is the raw ingredient that we're trying to build up from and get our information. So in this case, we know that we've got 10,000 feet above sea level, not above the airport, landing strip, sea level. Luckily, we know that the mountains are 12,000 feet above sea level. So the wisdom says we're going to climb to 15,000 feet above sea level. So I hope we can see here the kind of growth or the basis of the data for information, for knowledge and wisdom, and that's how critical the foundation is. We'll be talking about that a little later on. So where are you now? Questions that you might want to consider. So what are your specific data quality challenges? You want to focus upon things that are in an 80-20 type principle, where focus on the 20% of things that are having 80% of the impact, because you need to focus on what's impacting the business. Who is impacted? Where is it impacted? What specifically is causing a problem? Are things not being delivered? Are goods being returned? Are invoices being sent to the wrong place? Are decisions being made incorrectly on the foundation of bad data? So again, why is that a problem? And you need to monetize it ideally. And identify what quality you have now so that we can measure against that in the future. So the next step on a journey, how did we get here? Well, I think we really want to learn from the past, don't we? So whenever we've made a journey, we want to admit our mistakes, learn from them, and avoid repeating those errors. And there's a huge issue around what I call the data management ball of grief. So we have this big ball of grief, which has got everything on it: data, field values, single customer view, master data management. So when we're doing our analysis, we need to ask the good old 6 who, what, why, where, when questions. Rudyard Kipling's 6 favorite men, I think. So let's talk about the customer journey here maybe. So we know that if we're in a marketing system, you may well have suspects. They will get converted to prospects, through to customers, what we call regulars and advocates, those people that will always support you and be with you. Now, if you take this customer journey, as you can see, as we go along this cycle and we go from suspect across to prospect, you can see that the data is increasing. When we're a suspect, we bought some data in, we email market those prospects, of course, with the appropriate privileges, and we have very little data. When they become a prospect and they've put their hand up and said that they may well be interested in your products or services, you have additional data. Now, when they become a customer, we end up with all sorts of additional data. Are they creditworthy? Where's their HQ? Where do the accounts need to go to? What needs to be delivered? What products have been purchased? Their corporate number, etc., etc. What products have been sold? And they keep on buying things, and it gets worse because we've got more products. We've got changes of delivery, changes of personnel, and the advocate that used to work at that company or the advocate that's bought your products may well move. They may well die. They may well remarry. So we've got data changes happening all over the place on these systems. And as you can see, therefore, it's getting more and more complex as we go across this journey. So no wonder it's difficult to manage the data. And low data typically comes from migration projects. Now, that's a problem in itself because I'm sure, as many of you will know, we tend to move systems. We create this shiny new container that I mentioned earlier, and we tend to put the same old data in it. And the data is not very happy about that. Imagine you were a piece of data and you were being migrated or integrated or input into the system. I think it would request your respect. It would ask to be treated well, because if you don't respect the data, it will definitely mess up your decisions and can make things very difficult for you. If you respect it, it will serve you well. Now, Bad data or low quality data often comes from bad requirements. So we haven't really specified what the requirements are, what the specificity, that's hard to say, the degree of completeness, accuracy, consistency that we talked about earlier, and the requirements for managing this data. Bad processes are typically in place, and it's interesting actually in this COVID disaster that the world is struggling with. It's beginning to expose the fact that humans are often involved in the processes and are touching these touch points along the way, and it's showing up data process defects. There can be a bad attitude to data as well. Unfortunately, people are involved all the way along, and it can lead to issues. Now, we need to awaken people out of this blissful ignorance. We need to move them from a state of apathy and abdication of responsibility where they're involved and care to improve the quality of the data, where they do trust the data because they currently don't trust it, and we need to build proof that the solutions that we're providing for them will deliver value. And that value is really demonstrated when the value equals the benefit minus the cost. So the benefit's got to be greater than the cost, otherwise why bother doing it? And if we're going to take this to leadership, we need to ensure that there's a monetary value on here. So where do you want to go? Another step on our journey. And as Yogi Berra put it, if you don't know where you're going, you might wind up somewhere else. So we really got to be focused on where we want to go. To do that, I think it's useful to think about a virtuous circle. So where we have high quality data, we'll have high information quality. We'll have high decision quality. And of course, we'll have better outcomes. If we have low data quality, then of course we'll have low quality outcomes. So we want to think about this as part of our journey. I think also business alignment is important here because businesses set their strategy. We have governance processes that are involved. We want people to have behaviors, and that is supported by business processes, the data that supports that, of course, the technology that's containing the data, migrating the data, integrating the data, applying rules, etc. And most importantly, the people are critical because after all, the people set the strategy, they apply the governance, they're the people that have the behaviors, they wrote the processes, they put the data in, they develop the technology. So actually, when you think about it, people are very instrumental in every step along the way here. So it's important that we get alignment and we don't have people sitting in the boat rowing in different directions. So why do we want to get there? Well, we definitely want to get to a place where we think about why we're doing it. That place really, well, I say there are no data quality initiatives, only business initiatives. So people really don't care about the quality of the data, and in many ways they shouldn't. It should just be correct because of what we do to ensure its correctness, completeness, consistency, and all those other values we talked about. So those initiatives really are more money, less waste, and mitigation of risk. That's what the business cares about. They want more revenue, they want to reduce waste in the business, and they want to mitigate risk. Because the best way to make money is to stop wasting it, of course, and reputational risk is incredibly damaging to a business. So these, I think, are the key drivers that any business will be interested in. So if we're going to go on this journey, we need to be thinking about these and what actions we can take to deliver more money, reduce the waste, and mitigate any risk. We talked earlier about the DIKW and we used the pilot analogy. Well, in our data, information, knowledge, and wisdom pyramid here, let's think about what happens when the foundations are broken. We could have application data, that's the CRM, ERP, and other business applications are collecting data. That information is stored, utilized in reports and dashboards in the knowledge area. Insights and decisions are made with machine learning, AI, etc. And of course, people. So as we move up that hierarchy, if the tower of data, our leaning tower of data, is skewed to the right, then we end up with a distortion from the truth. And the further we're broken at the base here, the more the distortion. Now think of that if a machine learning is driving your car. That's going to be a problem for all of us. So it's critical that the foundational data is correct so that we ensure that we get high quality decisions at the top of the pyramid. Thought we'd throw in a few real world data quality challenges where we've seen databases where one man had been pregnant 3 times and a woman had had 97 children. 80% of customers had no children because the 0 meant 0, but it also meant don't know, so it had double meaning. So it's basically invalid. Hundreds of customers had duplication of social security numbers. Children and babies had mortgages, which is just, of course, impossible. 30,000 people were born on a date because that's probably the default pick list value that came in that application. And some customers were born in the future. Again, this should be not allowed because A, humans shouldn't do it, and B, machines shouldn't allow that to happen. So let's take a look at some quality principles here. I think really what we're trying to do is ensure that we define and satisfy the customer's needs, because at the end of the day, it's the customers that pay our salaries. We must prevent and avoid downstream data debt. If you have an issue and you pass that down the line, you're really paying for it. I always say you can have anything you want in life, but there's always a price to pay. So you make a choice, and if you're happy to pay the debt down the line, then that's fine. But I think it's better to reduce waste, as we talked about earlier, one of those drivers, and avoid that downstream data debt. I think we should take action and be proactive and make sure that we are not acted upon and that we actually take action. We need to ensure that those processes are optimized, because those handoff points in a relay race, I've never seen a runner drop the baton on the 4x4 100 meters. It's always at the interfaces, the handovers, the touch points. So I think we need to take care at those points and be sure that they are, going to be clean handovers. Ensure that your data quality standards are met, you define those, that you continually improve, consistently go around the loop of improving, and importantly, take accountability, take responsibility for your actions. So what about the obstacles? Well, Henry Ford has said here that they're the frightful things you see when you take your eye off the goal. And I think that's interesting because often, these obstacles stop you, but actually Michael Jordan has said, obstacles don't have to stop you. If you run into a wall, don't turn around and give up. Figure out how to climb it, go through it, or work around it. Because if your desire is greater than the obstacle, you'll achieve that. So we need to overcome these obstacles. Now, this slide is just here to show how in the data function, it's a vast landscape. Now, we are only focusing on that data management area and specifically on data quality and master data management. This is where our expertise lies and how I believe we can help people like yourselves improve the quality of the data in your systems. So if you're going to overcome these obstacles, we need to think about those obstacles and what are we actually trying to achieve? Have our eye on the goal. Why are you trying to achieve whatever it is you're trying to achieve? We need to identify the stakeholders, those people who are involved. Where is all our data? What is the work that has to be done and how we can deliver it? So I think there are key questions for us along the way. So now we're at the point where we're going to decide what we are going to do. And Morgan Freeman kind of put it nicely. Whatever we decide we want to do is what we do. So again, it's back to human behavior, isn't it? We need to motivate people to do what they want to do so that things get done. Now, at this point, we've used a zero tech capability where we have what we call a data value map. Now, the data value map is about bringing data into the system, identifying with a group of stakeholders, a bunch of Post-it notes and a big AO poster, what the business value is. Why are we actually doing this? Because as we've said, there's business value needs to be driven, i.e. more sales, less waste, and mitigation of risk. So we're looking at why are you doing this? Where is the data coming from? Now, often when we've talked about this, we've been on projects working with people, and we're talking about, okay, so it comes from the CRM, it comes from an Excel spreadsheet, it comes from, and then Johnny or Lucy pipe up and go, oh yeah, I've got an Excel spreadsheet that's got all that data in it. I use it, I maintain that, I love it, it's always right. And the astonishment on the face of people in the room, I had no idea you had that. Why didn't you declare it? And we end up with all these silos of data. Now, that causes a problem on integration. So people need to know what you're doing, combining these data sets potentially to create our single customer view, our master data management, our CDP, our customer data platform, whatever you wish to call it, a data warehouse. What are the analytics? Why are we doing this? What are we trying to prove here? We recently spoke to a very large bank in America, which was interesting because they were talking about putting out reports. Those reports cost $1 million per month. And one day, the CTO or CFO or CMO, whoever it was, the senior analytics guy said, I'm going to stop sending these reports. He got a call 9 months later, and somebody said, are you still sending those reports? He said, oh, no, we switched those off 9 months ago. He said, oh, why? He said, oh, I was just wondering, I hadn't seen them. Nobody had been using those reports at all, and they were costing $1 million a month. So it's a very wise move to switch those over. So we need to focus on what you really want to know, those KPIs, those critical factors that really matter, and how the data should be delivered. And then we've got our data behaviors. Now, you can think of this as data governance, but it's really a set of behaviors, the way you want people to behave that we talked about, because people genuinely are the key to success here. And then outputting that data. So what actions should we take? So as a recap, we want to prevent rather than cure. That's a better process. Now you may need to cure first because we've got to get it clean and keep it clean. But once we've got it clean, we want to prevent. Use the 1-10-100 principle. Now, this is where if we use $1, let's say, or £1, at the point of entry, it might cost you 1 unit, £1, $1, whatever, to input that data. If you have to fix it shortly afterwards, it'll cost you 10 times as much, $10, £10. If down the line, well down the line, it will cost you 100 times more than that input cost. So clearly prevention is better than cure because it'll cost you an awful lot of money. And that could be fines, that could be regulatory compliance issues, it could be bad decisions made on incorrect data. You really need to understand the data flow. Where does it come from? Where does it go to? And that's where the data value map really comes into its own. Reduce the interfaces and double handling. So as we said on the relay track, let's not let the people drop the baton at the interfaces. Let's reduce them if we can, or make them as smooth as possible. Get rid of the friction. Never pass a defect down the line, and involve everybody you can in this process. I will say as well, apply some metrics, i.e. measure everything that results in customer success. So focus on what's going to result in customer success, and also focus. Now, by focusing, we want to find our root causes and stop them. We want to have options to overcome the obstacles that we've discovered. We want to conclude what our solutions are and take action. Be a verb, not a noun. Let's take action. Let's do something. Let's make a change that's going to have an impact on the organization. Let's universally agree on those actions and take action. And finally, systemize processes and humanize exceptions. So let's get as much automation in as possible, but let's not overdo it. Let's humanize the exceptions where relevant. And how will we know when we're getting there then? How do we know when we've arrived? Well, I think you'll arrive, when you stop caring about the destination. There's a quote here. I think it's kind of relevant. I think it's back to that virtuous circle, because if you've got that virtuous circle and the quality is right, the information's right, the decisions are right, then the outcome will be right. And you will have met your defined objectives and goals. You will have solved those root cause problems. You will have removed friction from your system. People will be thinking of data as an asset, something that's going to add value to the business. In terms of an asset, we've often heard people say, well, it's not, is it really that important to us? We say, okay, throw the data away then. Oh, no, couldn't do that. I know there's some good stuff in there somewhere. I just don't know where. And I think of that like the kitchen drawer or the garage. We all sort of let it decay to chaos, sort of maximum entropy is the technical term, but we fix it up every so often. Well, that's not the right way to do it. We must maintain it, as we talk about a little later on. And ownership, again, back to the people. We've got to understand clearly who owns it, who's responsible, who's going to fix it, and get on with it. And everybody has plays their part in this data quality story. Everybody is in that relay race. Everybody's on the running track, but it's a perpetual running track, I'm afraid, as data gets passed from department to department, application to application, etc., etc. So how will you know when you're there? Well, as John Ruskin has said, quality is never an accident. It's always the result of intelligent effort. So we've got to apply, of course, some intelligent effort. Now we're moving into the keep it clean phase if we're going to maintain our data. So we must have continued executive sponsorship. It's important that it comes from the top down. We cannot push string. It's got to be led. It's a leadership issue and then a management issue, a management of data, but leadership is imperative. We've got to have everybody pushing in the same direction. People can't be in the boat rowing in two different directions. There is a phenomena called social slacking, where it was devised for working out whether teams were performing better in small teams or large teams. So they devised a way of making a rope, pulling it on a load balance, and working out how much force somebody could apply. And the first person that went up, let's say they pulled 100 kilograms. The second person went on, we'd expect them to add 100 and we'd have 200. Third person, 300. But no, each additional person that was added actually pulled less than the initial person. So the cumulative effect was diminishing as it went down the line. That's because everybody thought that somebody was going to take action and take responsibility. So we need to make sure that everybody understands their part in the team. Everybody's pulling in the same direction, or pushing in the same direction, as it says here, but we've got to be aligned and not in the boat rowing in different directions. We need this process automation, agreed and implemented. Time, money, and resources need to be allocated, and that's going to come from the executive sponsorship to make this happen. And we need continual measurement, of course. And we're really then into the data quality sort of plan, do, check, act cycle. So we plan what we're going to do, we do what we say we're going to do, we check what we've done, and we act on it, and then continue around that loop continually on this everlasting journey. So we're getting to the point now where we're going to talk about how we can help. And in that area, as DIKW Global, we have a range of technologies and capabilities and experience. As I say, we've been around this block for 25 years now. And we can certainly help where you're migrating or integrating systems. If you have a continuous data management, so this is where you have ongoing integration, of course, migration, a continuous process, or even one-off cleanups. Now, up until now, we believe that systems have been incomplete and have been actually difficult to use. So our goal has been to apply our technologies, which we'll talk about here, these 4 blocks here. We are striving to make them easy to use and very complete in their functionality. And that's designed for whoever is going to use it, whatever you want to do, and whenever you want to use it. So we've created a complete set of APIs and products that allow you to do whatever you want, whenever, and whoever needs to use it. Now, underpinning this is an online cloud service called DIKW On Demand. So a suite of APIs that can be callable and deliver data quality functions to you as a developer or through our tools to integrate with CRM, the Common Data Service, ERP, etc., etc. So we'll talk about those in a moment, but it's a web-based API based upon credit-based consumption. So what we're doing is we're breaking bulk for you. Let's say you wanted to add Dun & Bradstreet data. Then you can call on that Dun & Bradstreet data and append your records, and you don't have to pay the upfront fees, which are typically a block for organizations getting in. And the same would be true for enhancement, suppression, and other services that we'll talk about in a moment. So DQ On Demand is a set of web APIs, I mentioned. You have multiple providers from the same endpoint. So if you decide you have address verification or email authentication or other services, we have interfaced to multiple providers to allow you to switch those providers with ease, should you ever wish to do so, and pay on a credit-based model. It's fully documented, and there are currently 18 plus data quality improvement services available to you. And those services are here. So they come from everything to refreshing your data, because data, as we know, is changing consistently. So you can refresh your data, authenticate it. That means check that an email will deliver, a phone will ring, suppress people that are deceased, gone away, or do not wish to be contacted. I won't go around the whole block, but derive data from postal codes or emails, et cetera, to get latitude, longitude, excuse me, additional formatted data, and many, many more functions that can be delivered through our applications. And here's one of those applications. So DQ Studio is an all-in-one data management engine. Excuse me 1 second. Sorry, excuse me there. DQ Studio, an all-in-one data management engine. It's about helping you migrate and integrate data either within business applications or across business applications. It's helping you improve the quality of the data. It's around cleansing that data, around replicating data, so getting data from those solutions and replicating either whole or part of that data, delivering data governance functionality, mastering your data so you have a golden record and single customer view functionality, and helping you with process automation. And how does it work? Well, we have over 130 connectors connecting you to Dynamics, the whole suite of Microsoft Stack, the Microsoft databases, as well as many other databases, both online and on-premise, marketing and social, as you can see, and many, many more. So we could talk to you about your solutions and integrating with various systems. So it also helps with master record management and batch matching. So this is where we're going to do our deduplication and record linking to give us our single customer view. It's calling out to DQ On Demand, as I mentioned earlier, and it's able then to write back to those targets, those updated records, those suppressed records, those enriched records, to make sure that your data lifecycle is complete and your records are maintained and managed and up to date. Another solution with a very similar approach, but a lower tech solution, is our DQ for Excel. What we've done is added functionality that allows those 750,000 users worldwide who are familiar with Excel to utilize the endless connectors that Excel has to pull data down into Excel, and then utilize our DQ On Demand credit-based consumption model to allow you to improve the quality in those Excel workbooks and then potentially update that data back to those systems. And again, a bit like DQ Studio, how it works, well, I'm sure you're aware that many, many sources are available through Excel. You can pull that data down, including the Common Data Service, Common Data Model I mentioned earlier, of course, CRM, other business applications, F&O, that data would come down to Excel. We will verify, validate, format, standardize, enrich, suppress, utilize DQ on demand services. And again, of course, then you could update those systems with your newly updated, refreshed, and corrected data. Actually, one of the many things we can do in Excel, which I think is rather interesting, when you pull data into Excel, I'm sure many of you have seen smiley faces and squiggly characters due to the font substitution. We can even correct those for you. Then we have Perfect and Merge. Perfect and Merge is a specifically designed integration with 365 CE. It's designed to identify duplicates through advanced fuzzy matching to allow you to review multiple records in CRM simultaneously, and apply advanced automation to allow you to identify your best record from your data sets, master them, merge them, update them in CRM without any data migration, no export, no import. You're right inside the CRM environment. As a screenshot, it looks like this. So it's a highly customizable solution right inside CRM, identifying those duplicates, as I mentioned, and allowing you to master that data with full automation as well. So one of our customers merged 30,000 duplicates without even looking at the data. They were able to identify that they were exact matches and automated the whole process before then humanizing the exceptions. So as we round up here, I thought perhaps useful to look at a case study with one of our clients, the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors. They're actually a client for both our Perfect and Merge solution, which we're talking about here, and also our data migration technology, DQ Studio, where we're migrating many millions of records from their on-premise solution to their online solution, where the online solution has a completely different data structure and data model than the on-premise solution. So help them in 2 counts. Now, what they wanted to do here was fix the data in their existing CRM using our Perfect and Merge solution prior to migrating to their online solution, where they would improve the quality of the data using our DQ Studio product, and then in the online solution, again, use our Perfect and Merge technology to maintain that data. So as you can see, over a 7-week period, they had 3 people that perfected and merged over 18,000 records, and they're saying this would not have been able to be achieved without the use of our tool. So a very happy client, thankfully, utilizing our technologies. So let's finally unravel this ball of grief that we had earlier and look at how we can solve this problem with some of our technologies. Ultimately, there are inputs and outputs. There's lots of them. We looked at the data value map and we saw how that flowed across the organization and how we need to deal with it. So let's consider taking data from a source here and sending it to a target here. This ball of string that we had before now means that on the journey, we might want to format it. That means format the emails, phones, addresses, and any data item that you might have in the database that needs to be put into a consistent form. So that would give us our consistency. We want to validate the data. By validation, I mean check that the syntax is correct. Does it look like an email? Does it look like a phone number? Does it look like a bank sort code, an IBAN number? Whatever your data quality or validity check needs to be performed, we can perform that for you. Parsing of the data. Now you might want to split the data out and move things into different fields. So there are many ways to parse various data elements in the system. Now verification means checking against a list, something that's pre-known. That could be the USPS, it could be the UK Post Office, or Royal Mail, I should say, or any list that needs to be checked against. Dun & Bradstreet, Experian, Equifax, whatever that data reference might be. And we can verify your data against those services and bring back the verified and enhanced and enriched data. Authentication to us means literally knocking on the door, because verification was a list. That doesn't mean it's correct. But authentication of an email, you're checking that that email will deliver. You're checking that that email, that phone will ring. Enhancing, This is where, again, you're going out to potentially verification services to add value to your data. So the SIC, turnover, number of employees, NACE codes, LinkedIn profiles, adding an email, adding a telephone number, adding a job title. These are enhancements to the data set that you have. Other examples where we're at point of entry, perhaps we're enhancing data by adding lat long to a postal code or a zip code, their social profile, their preferences. Suppression of deceased, gone away, or no way because they don't want to be contacted. Applying rules. Matching technology, making decisions along the way, single record view, and master record management. And we can do those with those tools that we mentioned: Excel, DIKW Studio for the migration integration, Perfect and Merge sitting right inside Dynamics 365 CE, and DIKW On Demand, all of which can be used independently to give you your golden record, single customer, client, student, guest view. So as a summary, DIKW for Excel is for everybody that uses Excel. It's reaching out to our DIKW On Demand service, allowing you to improve the quality of your data on a demand basis, credit-based model. Utilizing DIKW On Demand, which can be called by any developer as a set of web services. Our Perfect and Merge solution sitting right inside of Dynamics to help you improve the quality of your CRM data, identifying those duplicates, mastering, merging, automating those processes for you. And of course, DIKW Studio, which is integrating data from external systems or checking on data within your existing system, applying rules, helping you with any integration, migration between biz apps or within a biz app to ensure that the quality of your data is high. So in conclusion, leaving us time for a few questions potentially, data is your differentiator. Better data leads to better information. We've seen the leaning tower of data. It gives you a better business. So really now it's up to us. And if we really want to do something, we'll find a way. If we don't, we'll find an excuse. So here is my contact details. Anybody who wishes to post us any questions directly or of course through the chat window, we'll be delighted to hear from you, and hopefully we can help you overcome your CRM or biz app data quality challenges.
Great, thank you so much, Martin. This was a fantastic presentation, one that I really enjoyed. So I'm just looking at the question box now. It looks like others have felt the same. Excellent presentation. So
thank you.
We'll just give it a few minutes here. If you could
No
type
problem.
your question in the question box, and we will pose those questions to Martin, or you can raise your hand using the hand icon within GoToWebinar, and I can unmute your phone if your microphone is working, and we'll go that route as well. So feel free to have it interactive at this point. How do you normally start engaging with someone who has data quality challenges? Great question.
That is a great question. I think it's back to having quantify the problem, really. It's like saying having a medical issue, you need to sort of get the symptoms, so get the evidence, identify the impact of those problems, try and put them in the terms that that person or organization care about so that they can identify the real value. In a business context, it's often monetize the issue. So hopefully that will help. So engaging with someone who has data quality challenges, the greatest challenge is getting them out of denial. and recognizing there is an issue, getting accountability, responsibility, because everybody thinks it's somebody else's problem, and nobody really takes action. So I think that's the short answer to that one.
I completely agree with that. Garbage in, garbage out, right?
Well, it's even moved on. I think it's now fast garbage in, fast garbage out.
For sure.
And as I say, with the foundations being wrong, if you get to the top of that pyramid and a car is driving you, or machine learning are making decisions on your behalf with bad data, we're going to be in a very bad place.
Absolutely. Well, it's a quiet bunch today. I think you covered everything. But thank you for sharing your information there, your contact information. We have one more. Is there a listing on your site that details what pre-built APIs you have already constructed? For example, pre-built APIs to connect with LinkedIn or an SAP ERP or Infor?
Yeah, SAP ERP is a connector that we have. Infor are actually a client. They use our technology for their own data management. So we are infinitely familiar with the Infor CRM or Infor, what was Sales Logics. So place on the site, I think it will be on our DIKW Studio site, where you can see all the connectors that are provided to connect to those systems.
Great. And Eric, if you have follow-up questions, please reach out to Martin directly. Make note of his contact information there at martin.doyle@dqglobal.com. And we have some that are going to contact you soon. And Eric said, terrific. I'm so glad they know who Infor is.
Sorry, Eric.
And with that, I'll leave it open a little bit longer here. And I think that's it. So with that, we will, just a reminder that this deck as well as the recording will be posted following the session, and an email will go out to you with that link. And do you have LinkedIn links? Scott is asking that.
I will add them to the slide and update that to you, Lisa, so that you can share that with a LinkedIn link.
Okay, perfect. Yep. And LinkedIn links,
actually, the LinkedIn, that is the LinkedIn barcode actually on that slide.
And Scott, is that what you're referring to, or were you looking at through the CRM for the contacts? Okay.
Yeah, we can append LinkedIn IDs as an additional service for data enrichment.
Perfect. And Scott, hopefully that answers your question. Smiley face.
Good.
All right, good.
That allows us actually to refresh the data as well. So there's a constant loop can be carried out where data is refreshed using that LinkedIn ID or unique identifiers. We're able to tell clients that data may have moved and where they have moved to.
Nice. That's always, there's so much powerful information on LinkedIn. And does Perfect and Merge just work online?
No, it works on-premise, online, and IFD.
Okay.
What I didn't mention is that it also works in 5 spoken languages. English, French, German, Italian, and Spanish. And we have clients worldwide using the technology.
Fantastic. All right. With that, I think we'll close. And Martin, do you have any closing comments?
No, only that I hope that we've achieved what we set out to do, to help you understand how to fix your data forever, and that we've got across the get it clean, keep it clean kind of principle, and you have some fresh ideas to work with to improve your CRM data quality specifically. And if we can help in any way, we look forward to hearing from you.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for attending, and thank you, Martin, for sharing your knowledge on this important message. And if you would, just check out our upcoming webinars and join us again soon. Thank you, Martin. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you. And you. Thanks. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.